Hi, my name is Tanksley. I'm an elementary educator in Austin, Texas. I am certified to teach early childhood through the 6th grade. And while in Austin, I taught for 3 years, teaching kindergarten and 2nd grade at the Knowledge is Power program, CAEP, Austin Obras Elementary. And the unique thing about that school was that it was dual language immersion. It was a 50-50 model. So within a classroom of 30 students, there were 2 teachers, myself and another teacher. I taught all the content in English and she taught all the content in Spanish. And just being able to be immersed in a second language was so interesting for me. I felt what my students were feeling learning another language because my co-teacher wouldn't speak to me in English during our time in the classroom. So I was really understanding what it felt like to learn 2 languages at once. And because of this, I really wanted to learn the best way to teach literacy, not only to English language learners, but also to all students. And that is why I enrolled in the online degree program with the University of Kansas. I focused my instruction in curriculum and instruction, focus on reading. And throughout the program, I was able to create projects, assignments, and presentations that showcased my learning in the course. At the culmination of my time at the university, I created a portfolio. And this portfolio is to showcase the standards that all of the graduate students have achieved, the standards that the university committee would like all of their students to show that enhances their teaching abilities and to show that they're a well-rounded educator. And while there are 7 of those standards today, I just want to really focus in on one of them to highlight my learning, the assignments that I did, and how I created them. And that one standard I would like to focus on is Standard 1.2, 3.5, which showcases how an educator uses research and evidence to develop school environments that support student access to curriculum as well as promote the teacher's professional practice. And due to the assignments that I showcased in this standard, I became more inquisitive, research-oriented, and really self-reflective in my practice. The first assignment that I would like to share with you showcases my ability to create an environment that allows all students to access the curriculum. And that was with my multicultural education class. And this course gave us the chance to explore, enhance, and analyze and react to how identity, race, language, sexuality, and some other socially constructed self-identifying factors were affecting the classroom environment. We listened to lectures, had discussion groups, made group presentations, and did lots of self-reflection. And one of the assignments that we created throughout was video briefs. They were short videos that shared our understandings and our takeaways from the readings and lectures that we read and listened to. And one of them that I showcase in my portfolio talks about the perceptions of social class and the influence that it has on the classroom. In this video presentation, I read the works of Uchili Howard, Purcell, and Lanson Billings. And after reading Purcell, I found that students are well aware of the different expectations that teachers have for them, and they notice the differences in the way the teachers interact with them or treat them. And my readings with Lanson Billings, they showed how finding student social capital, finding what students already have within them or around them, and using those things to enhance their educational practice is the best way to develop them as a student, instead of looking and seeing the things that the students lack and the things that they don't have. So looking at it in a positive light will really help both the teacher and the student to develop their learning. And the readings of Uchili and Howard, I found, helped me understand that all aspects of school, like from the teacher's expectations to the curriculum and the pedagogy, really affect how children, quote, fit into the classroom based upon how the teacher interacts with that particular student. And upon these readings, I really took it to heart, and I really reflected on my personal classroom practice. And I saw my students in a different light because of the readings that I was able to interact with. And in the video that I share, I reflect deeply and effectively with how the lectures and readings impacted my practice. And one student in particular really helped me change my personal pedagogy. Before reading the research, this one student, I didn't know for sure if he was capable of reaching the end of year goals in my class. But after this course, I took the time to change how I interacted with him. I made positive statements, I reinforced his work, and I looked for the social capital that he currently had. I saw that he was a hard worker, he asked lots of questions, and he worked well with others. And using these things that he already possessed, I was able to see how capable he really was. And over time, he started to display growth. And I think he always had that within him. It was just my view of him that was changed. So personally, my pedagogy really emphasizes high expectations, the belief that all students are capable of doing great things. And it's because of this course that allowed me to see that. And the biggest takeaway that I have from this particular assignment is twofold. I've become aware of the perceptions that I have about students and how I interact with them. I need to have high expectations and keep them accountable for the learning within the classroom. And I'm more cognizant of how I personally communicate with students. It's the type of interaction that students receive daily that affects how they learn. So I think that this class really showcased how I was able to use research and evidence to create a classroom environment that supports all students' access to learning. My second artifact that I would like to share with you is from a class called The Foundations of Reading, Process, Theory, and Instruction. In this class, we focused on effective reading strategies and techniques that were interactive, research-based, and the impact they had on the literacy development of students. We synthesized reading research and publications, and we incorporated them into our professional practice. One of the focus areas of that class was Graves' framework for effective vocabulary instruction. The framework consisted of 4 key components: a rich and varied language experience, word learning strategies, individual word instruction, and word consciousness. Our assignment was to incorporate all 4 of these strategies into one of our lessons. And it took me some time to find a lesson that really would be beneficial in teaching vocabulary. All of my literacy lessons, they weren't conducive to it, so I looked to my math lesson. In math, we were introducing a new concept and new vocabulary terms, which I thought would be a perfect time to use Graves' framework. And for that, I researched publications. I looked at the KU library online, and I read my lecture notes from the class. I planned on where to apply the strategies that I read about strategically within the lesson. I also annotated my lesson plans to note when to ask for questions, when to check for understanding, and places when to repeat the learns that the students were learning. All this information was synthesized and implemented with a class of 30 kindergartners. The students were able to experience the vocabulary of weight, heavy, and light using a triple beam balance and various objects. Students were able to place the objects in the balance and share their observations about the weight of the object. Was it heavy? Is it light? And they were able to compare objects to one another using the vocabulary as well. While I was reinforcing the vocabulary, I used total physical response. If an object was heavy, the students and I would weigh our hands down to the ground as if we were holding something heavy. And if it was light, their hands would raise up as if holding something light, about like a feather. And I also used vocabulary picture cards that had the word, a picture, and a cognate in Spanish for lots of my English language learners to connect vocabulary that they already know to the new vocabulary being learned. I also incorporated the strategy of repetition by asking students to share what they found, asking students to repeat what another student said as well. And this assignment helped me incorporate vocabulary instruction in a clear and concise way. Previously, vocabulary was confounding to me. There were various ways to teach it. Should I teach it separately? Should I graft it into a lesson? Maybe I should do both. But going through this course helped me have an understanding of how to create vocabulary in a natural, enveloping environment for students to take a risk and actually take a chance to say the word just by incorporating it into our daily communication. This particular course really informed my instruction. I am now knowledgeable and aware of the strategies that can build vocabulary naturally. And this assignment displays how I grew my professional practice through research, which enabled me to create an environment for all students to access vocabulary instruction. These 2 assignments are just 2 of the 7 that are part of my portfolio. And they really showcase how I am an educator that is well-rounded and developed in the aspect of literacy. The next steps in my professional practice begin with reading more research on literacy. I have taken steps toward becoming a member of the International Literacy Association, and I have firsthand access to publications and journals that will show me some research about strategies to enhance my practice. After the completion of my degree at the University of Kansas, I hope to be a highly qualified educator in reading, but my 5-year plan is to be a reading specialist. I really would enjoy being a part of a student's development, struggling reader or an adult, and assisting teachers as well in their literacy practices. My time completing this degree program has given me confidence and insight on how to be a great teacher in any grade. I first thought great teachers were just born, but due to my time here, I could not envision myself teaching upper elementary because I thought I wasn't born for it. But now I see that great teachers are always trying to find ways to get better in their teaching. They self-reflect, they read research, and they repeat it until they find what works the best for their students. I never really saw myself as a great teacher, but due to this program, I see myself teaching any grade as a great teacher in the making.